So supposedly this Sarah Silverman, this cretin, okay? Here, let's get something straight about what these ones that call themselves Jews are. They're not Jewish. They adopted the Jewish religion. And that Jewish is one of those things where it can be a religion or it can be a race as in you buy a birthright, you see? And so these people are really out of Eastern Europe. The ones in the Bible are not the same ones that Jesus is talking about. These are frauds. These ones that are screaming Nazi this and that, because they are the Nazis. The ones that Jesus argued with, these people that call themselves today Jews, adopted that religion. But they weren't born Jewish, you see? They adopted all the practices and then called themselves Jews. And so Jesus said, be careful of those that call themselves Jews and are not, because these guys are the troublemakers. Now, Jesus wasn't digging the Jews of the Old Testament. A matter of fact, he told them pretty much, you ain't the dudes I'm looking for. You know, you guys are too controversial and, you know, you're basically ripping everybody off. Pretty much the same thing that's going on now, but these are not the same group of people. If you go look at Netanyahu, the guy looks like he's out of, you know, looks like he's out of upstate New York. He's white. The Palestinians are dark and have leather skin because they're from that region. All of this stuff about the Nazis this and Nazis that, I wrote 3 or 4 different long-ass paragraphs today to different people because I'm tired of the word Nazi. What is a Nazi? Is it the German people? No. And the German people better stand up and start letting the world know that they're not guilty of shit. Okay? The word Nazi, when you think about it in the terms that most people understand it, is this group of men that went around and they took a bunch of Jews and they put them in a camp and then they burnt them up. Well, let's go over the facts again. First of all, the Jews call it a Holocaust. Why is it that the Jews never tell the Gentiles that the word Holocaust is used in the Bible when it said the Lord told Cain and Abel to bring a holocaust unto the Lord, which the word Holocaust means a burnt sacrifice or offering? Why is it that when Isaac took Jacob up to the mountain, the Lord said, use your kid as a Holocaust? Yeah, well, I'm getting there. Okay? There's a lot of rumpy-pumpy involved here because the word Holocaust means a burnt sacrifice or offering. So people think, oh my God, that means they're throwing somebody in the fire. But the word sodomy in Hebrew means to burn. Do you see where I'm going with this? With all of this weirdness that's going on? Because to connect to the demonic realms, part of the sacrifice is, or when you get initiated into some of these groups, you are ready to make the step, drop the laundry and bend over the altar because you're about to be sacrificed. We're about to do a Holocaust on you, which is your ass. The burning is the act of the sodomy. And so the German people have been built into believing that they're this horrible group of people. The world's accepted it. The National Jewish Museum for the Holocaust is in downtown Berlin. Okay? This is one of old Alex Jones's frickin' whatever. And you see, that supposedly Sarah Silverman was making a big deal about this. Sarah Silverman knows exactly what this is. We know what this is. We can see the colors, the yellow and the pink in there. Why would you go through the headache of spray painting this and using 2 colors? Doesn't this look like a sine wave that's cut in half? It doesn't matter. And a matter of fact, this symbol is an algebraic symbol for, let's see. Wait, let's be good here. So if we look here, so this is so not my style. It says, oh my gosh, they cubed X. Okay, so here's the 3 little dots and the 3 little dots. But if we go down here, see this X? It's exactly how they got it drawn over here. Okay, this is an X. It's the same thing that it always is. And it's telling me that there's an X here and it's an X here. What is X in math? It's usually the unknown, isn't it? Isn't it X? Because X is always the unknown when you're doing an equation. A plus B equals C, and then you get into the X, which is the unknown, and you got to go through the formula to figure it out. So what's here? The unknown is here, and the unknown is here. What is this? This looks like a wall. I'm not here to decipher this. The bottom line is, getting back to the original, the German people have been beat to death with the shit that they're Nazis, that Donald Trump is somehow a Nazi, that this person's a Nazi, that person's a Nazi. The Nazis were a specific group of the German hierarchy of officers that were inducted into the high societies, like the Thule Society and the Vril Society. It had to do with all the rumpy-pumpy and how energy flows and all of that stuff. The German soldier had nothing to do with any of that. German people are not Nazis. People that don't agree with you are not Nazis. Nazis were an occultic, Kabbalistic, Jewish Kabbalistic, how can I put it? Purveyors and performers of the dark arts. They had nothing to do with the dude that was on the front line. Nazis were a specific group that did those things. The German people had nothing to do with any of that. The German people are going to have to stand up for their rights at some point, because this bullshit, something happened, but when you understand that the bridge that they're speaking about, this rainbow bridge, the rainbow, it's the bridge, it's the act of sodomy. That's the bridge that connects you from one side to the other side. Trump is trying to build a wall. Sounds to me like he's trying to stop it. And you have all these people that are complaining that he wants to build a wall. In my opinion, he's trying to build a wall to stop the sodomy, because these people that are doing all of this stuff are acting more demonic than they are human. Like they're going to be walled off. Do you understand what I'm saying? There's another story going on here. Just like there was another story going on when they perpetrated this bullshit. It's not even a hoax. Something happened, but it didn't happen the way they said, because the description of what a Holocaust really is uses the same words as in fire and burning and death, but yet it all has to do with anal sex and connecting and all of that, and children, is that type of sacrifice. You can sacrifice your kid by fucking him in the ass. That's a sacrifice. Your child made a sacrifice. Your soul is a battery. It's atomic powered. It's energy. Little kids are like brand new batteries. And if you need the power to go from this side to the other side, you don't want a 65-year-old man or a 70-year-old woman. You want a little kid, because they're fresh. See, the longer you live, the more power is depleted, because you've been given a battery. And as long as that battery's running, your body will keep running. At some point, the battery runs out of juice and you just fall over dead. Okay? But your spirit is different. It's like your consciousness, your psyche. Okay? So when they always talk about soul power, you're talking about using little kids to power your thought through the act of sodomy, anally raping that kid to get to the other side. The problem is when they do that to a kid, some of that shit comes back the other way, and now Legion, because that's what you're tapping into, Legion, those things are in that kid's head. And those kids, this is why Hollywood children grow up to be insane, drug abuse, crazy out of their fucking minds, because they were used most likely against their will or not even knowing as little kids, and they wind up demented because they have schizophrenia, which is those things in their head. So the words Holocaust, the way this whole thing is set up is blaming one group for what another group did. And in my personal opinion, I think the whole world was in on that shit. I think the war part was just the distraction part of it. Because listen, let me try and explain it to you this way. How can I do this? And these are my thoughts. These are not the thoughts of billions of people. These are my thoughts, and you don't have to take them, because they're just my thoughts. Okay? If the whole world was in on it, Why would the whole world be in on something so vile as that? Because the old story of the Tower of Babel was a story about man trying to get to heaven after God told him to fuck off for whatever, probably the fucking original fucking around that they did. Well, in order to get enough people together to burn in the rumpy pumpy setting, so to speak, you need a lot of bodies, okay? And you need a lot of power to try and get up that hill. You see what I mean? To get to heaven, wherever that is. You're going to have to bust through a gate, and you need a lot of power. And I'm not saying this was just the Nazis. I'm telling you this was a worldwide, it's not even a conspiracy. All the people at the top were working, at least those that were involved, were working to try and bust that barrier. We're prisoners here. You can see that story being told over and over and over. We are quarantined from the rest of creation. And so to get there, you have to do the old story of overthrow the gates of heaven. And that was their way of trying it. But you can't just get people to volunteer to be raped in the ass. You have to start something bigger. You need that energy going on, the murdering and the killing. When the British were backed up, right, at Dunkirk, Hitler could have wiped them out and that would have been it. He could have marched right into London and that would have been the end of the British sovereignty. But you know what he said? He said, let them go. Why? Because they needed more mass killing. They needed murder. This thing was planned way out in advance. People died. And it isn't the German people. The German people weren't standing there going, ooh, this is great. Yeah, here, bring more kids. Let's do it. The Nazis are not the German people. I'm tired of hearing that bullshit. They had nothing to do with it, and I'm tired of seeing this word being passed around when 99% of the people have no idea that the word Holocaust that the Jews used, that's in the Bible, is their word, yet they tell you it's a bunch of Jews that were burned up in a camp, and you're supposed to blame the Germans, when they don't tell you that the word burning for is sodomy, and a Holocaust is a sacrifice or an offering. Tell the true story, what the words mean, and you get a totally different idea about what's going on here. But no, they jump on this. The colors in this picture. See the colors in the picture? Why did somebody take the time to spray paint it pink and then put orange over the top of it? We know what those colors are. We know, all that is an X. It's the way they write it in algebra. Again, Germany, stop taking this rap. You didn't do anything wrong. The reason that they don't tell you all of this other stuff is because that leads back to Jewish Kabbalah. And the Nazis, the upper echelon of officers that were already inducted into the dark arts were using a form of it. In other words, let's put it this way. You got 10 demons over here. You got 10 demons over here. The Jews are using this group of demons. The Nazis were using this group. Boom. And they were butting heads. Do you understand? But they were all working together. They're all working together. This was a worldwide thing. And if they weren't working together, they were surely working apart, but towards the same goal. Now, you can take what I'm saying as a grain of salt, which is what I always tell you to do, because I'm not an expert on this. But I can tell through deductive reasoning that when words mean certain things, and they've been played off on the public, and they've condemned a whole group of people, yet set another group of people as being a victim, and you know the history of these people, they ain't really who they say they are, and that these words have been misinterpreted intentionally for the public consumption, that there's something way, somebody's really gone out of their way to bullshit the people into condemning the German people. And that shit's got to stop, because they didn't have a fucking thing to do with it. Aryan people are not Nazis. Just like Semitic people are not all Jews. The ones that claim to be Jewish today are not the ones that Jesus was talking to in the Bible. Yet they took on the persona of that religion, and then they said, "Oh, I'm Jewish." Well, they don't understand that Jewish is a religion, and it's a race. It's one of those weird things, like Christianity is not a race. So when you say I'm Christian, people know that you're talking specifically about what your beliefs are. But Jewish is a race, and it's a belief. You can convert to Judaism and become a Jew through religion. Or you can be born a Jew and be a fucking atheist. But you're still Jewish. Do you see what I'm saying? A lot of play on words and a lot of the real story of what's going on here. Again, why would somebody make an X here? Because this is how you draw it in algebra. Put pink down the middle and orange here, or yellow. We've seen this. How many times have we seen this? Okay, you got one here and you've got one here. Here's the wall. X is the unknown, right? All this fucker is doing is he's saying Sarah Silverman is a bitch and blah, 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 but he's really on the same team she is. Because if we know what this is, through years of deduction and looking at it, they certainly know what it is. Somebody has got to stand up for the German people, because until people understand what Nazis truly are, and it ain't dudes that are bald and wear combat boots. That's what the media has made them out to be, because that's what people think of with modern Nazism. Do you understand? That's what they turned it into on purpose, so that you'll never tie real Nazism into a form of this Jewish, so to speak, Kabbalah. The German people aren't guilty of anything. The Nazis are guilty of something, and those that collaborated with them. But the German people are innocent. Period. Learn what a fucking Nazi is and then use the fucking word.